Yo, what's up? What's up? We back. We back at the from man, I'm messing words up. We here at the Village, man.
Don't even matter.
Don't even matter, man. We back, man, for another episode. We'll call this episode 2 because I have to redo my episode with Rome. So we're back here again we'll say this is episode 2.
Yeah.
Over here at Wordplay Cincy. A place where we uplift people and we tell their stories for young people and people in general and community in general. And yeah, man, we're here, man. We're here with a special guest, a special brother, Mr. Shalom, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. You talking too highly of me right now.
Man, you the GOAT, son. You the GOAT, kid.
I don't know if I want to be a GOAT these days.
Man, I ain't mad at you, dog. I ain't mad at you, man.
I just want to be me.
I heard that, man. Well, let's kind of get right into it. Well, first of all, how's your spirit, brother? You good? How you doing, man?
Yeah, my spirit is upful. You know, I'm in good spirits.
Okay.
I'm with the kids all the time, so they keep me young.
Yeah, I heard that, man. They'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm wishing the sun was out right now, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's a little gloomy in good old Cincinnati bipolar weather.
It's all right. God is good.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know what I think when it comes to the weather, I think somebody should study like how the weather affects the people's like their emotional stability here specifically. Because
yeah, dog.
our weather is crazy.
Nah, for real.
And I feel like the people are a reflection of that. When you be having interactions with the randoms, you be like, yo, what is going on?
I agree. That's a total fact. My best friend is actually from LA.
Yeah.
He's from Watts, man. He moved here about 2 years ago, man. He do be going through all type. It's like, bro, yo,
It's serious.
He's like, I'm like, and he deliver mail, so he's a mail carrier.
He's active.
Yeah, man. So he in it, and I know he used to consistency and being dependent on like the sun is going to be out all the time. It's going to be sunshine. And feeling good, and it ain't that here.
No, it's not.
It's not.
If I didn't have the gym, I think I'd probably be depressed. It's not
bro.
gonna lie.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That gym been keeping me pretty safe.
Saved my life.
Yeah, for sure. But let's get right into it, bro. Like, what is your actual? I know your name. You weren't born Shalom.
Nah.
Okay, what's your name, brother?
My born name, or my name that was given, is Andrew.
Okay.
That was a name that most people know me as, like the people that I grew up with or the people I went to school with. For the people in the community, that was the name. Shalom was the name that I gave myself, or like I found upon, like, you know, spiritual awakeness, if you will.
Yeah,
just getting closer to myself.
Yeah. What? Can you mind sharing a little bit about the
Absolutely.
the origins of the name Shalom?
So originally I had heard that name in church. I was going to an apostolic church at the time, and the apostle, he was preaching, and he said Shabbat Shalom during his, you know, his sermon or whatever. And it just stuck with me. I don't know why. It just did. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what is he saying right now, right? So it always stuck with me. And then years later, I was living on my own. I was serving the community, and me and my brothers, we were doing a lot of research, one about our personal families, right, our bloodlines. But then we was doing research about, you know, just the world. Yeah. And we went through religion. We went through slavery. We went through genocide. We went through, what's that, the industrial times, like when everything was industrialized. Before it was, you know, it was real mellow. Now we got trains and all that. We went through that. I don't know, and it just allowed us to get closer to ourselves. And so we talked about starting our own family because we realized that all of us came from slavery a bit, which is, you know, a lot of us, that's our story. But for many of us, it's like we kind of choose to have that be a part of our story. We always like bring it up constantly. It's like, but for us, it was like, we want to start something new. We want to do something a little bit different, something that don't necessarily have anything to do with a slavery mindset. And so that's where Ikemba, the last name, came from. But Shalom was something that stuck with me. Of course, it's Hebrew. It's a greeting and gesture, and, you know, saying goodbye. But it also means peace, serenity, tranquility, you know, oneness with God, you know, all those things. And then Ikemba is Nigerian for strength and power of a nation. And that was everything that we want to embody with moving forward and leaving a legacy for ourselves. So there you have it.
Man, that's beautiful, bro. I love that, man. I love that. And it translates over to like the work that you do. You know, even though we wear you know, the clothing that we wear, or we may go in a certain vessel or in a certain, you know, shield that, you know, the goal is to free these minds.
Right.
That's really dope.
Right.
I love that. Well, let's stay a little bit before, because that's where I want to go. But let's stay at the beginning and the genesis a little bit. So where did you grow up? We're in Cincinnati, Ohio. Where did you grow up in the city? Where did you go to school? You know, did you vision yourself did you see yourself being where you are right now, working with young people? And, you know, what was the original dream, the original vision as a young person in the city?
Yeah, not till later on, I have to admit, but the genesis, man, I grew up everywhere. But originally, when I was born, I grew up in Avondale on Glenwood. My great-grandma, Mary Irene, she stayed on Glenwood in this brown house, 2-family house across the street from the park. It was a church. Okay. That's where I was raised. My mom and dad had me when they was 15 and 17.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom, she was in a bad environment.
Okay.
And so she made a decision to give full custody to my dad.
Okay.
And so he raised me. But he was, 17 at the time, living with my grandma.
It's deep, yeah. Man.
Yeah, and so she raised me for the first several years of my life.
Yeah.
Moved to College Hill with my auntie. I stayed on Lantana.
Okay, a word. Okay,
yeah,
not too far from me.
Not too far, not at all. Stayed on Lantana. She always had me going to the library at the end of the street.
Okay,
over there. What's that school over there?
Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill.
Yeah. Yep. Elementary school, right?
Yeah, it sure is. She had me going to the library over the summertime, writing thesis and write ups on books or whatever. She had me go get a book every day and do a write up on it. Now, she said I could get whatever book I wanted, so I was doing comics and stuff. I was fun. I wasn't necessarily doing too much of the scholarly stuff, but it turned into that later on, right? So still going to CCPA, getting involved in a whole bunch of stuff. That was an excellent school for me to explore because I had a lot of black men that were there teaching. My principal was a black man.
Rare.
Yeah, very rare. Goddie Matthews. I also had a lot of white teachers too, but majority of the people that were in positions of administration looked like me. And so that inspired me a lot. It showed me that I could do a lot. He even talked to us about coming back. Like, if y'all make it, y'all need to make sure y'all get back. And I think I was always of the mentality of like, I don't care if I make it or not, I'm gonna still come back and show love. You know what I mean? And not just here, but in my community, right? So that's kind of where that started. And so I stayed there until about 9th grade, I believe. Then I transferred to Withrow. But before then, I did a lot of moving around. So we was in College Hill. Then we moved to the T for a little bit, staying with different people, man. It was tough. My dad was a hardworking man, but it was hard to make ends meet after getting divorced and foreclosed on his home, right? So my dad had me, then he had my little brother during the marriage, and then we moved downtown. He had another little brother, and so we welcomed him there, which was dope. I really relished the opportunity being a big brother, and then even before they had came, my dad had friends that he grew up with in the neighborhood, and I called him my uncle. So I would babysit their kids too, right? So they'll give me a little $20. They go out to the whatever, babysit the kids. So I had always had like an opportunity to give back and serve and be in positions of like leadership, pretty much, right? They gotta listen to me, and it ain't necessarily like that. I was cool. I wasn't no creep or nothing like that. I didn't do nothing that I wasn't supposed to do. By the time they come back, I'm usually asleep or still playing video games, and everybody else is asleep. So the house was taken care of.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much where that started for me. And so when my little brothers came, it was like, man, I got responsibility now, for real. Like, these dudes are connected to me. They look like me. We got the same dad. I remember how I grew up, trying to be a man and all of this stuff. So I really relished the opportunity to be in their lives. Moving back with my mom, it allowed me to connect more with my emotional side. My mom taught me a lot about eating healthier, which is good because not a lot of kids do that when they're young. Yeah. I was playing sports at the time, so I needed that, She taught me a lot about how to set your life up to be laissez-faire, but you still need to have those moments where you going after something. You're going to probably work a 40-hour week, but when you come home, how is your house looking? So you can mentally settle and have some peace. Right? You may be on your feet half the day, but what are you putting in your body to replenish yourself? Right? These are the things that my mom taught me when I was a teenager. And so I was thinking about going to school to play football. So I'm doing all of these visits and everything. But nobody offered me. My ACT, my SAT score wasn't high enough. I wound up going into the military.
What?
Yeah, I did that right after high school.
Okay.
And I think that was another reason why a lot of people didn't see me a lot.
Yeah.
I was just gone, man.
Yeah,
I was gone.
yeah.
I was serving.
Yeah.
And this is where we get into the vision for being with the community, right?
Yeah.
So we go to the military. Because my mentality behind that was I wanted to go to school, I wanted to go to college, but I didn't want my dad to pay for it. I know he wouldn't. I know he couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this on.
Yeah.
Right. Go to basic. You get 4 years of college paid for.
Okay.
Right. And that was scary for me. I ain't gonna lie. Now I didn't act scary, but it was like a lot emotionally.
What particular military did you go to?
Went to the Army.
To the Army. Okay.
Yep, to the Army. 11 Bravo was my job for those.
Word.
For those out there who
Would
know.
have never known. But go ahead. I'm listening.
Hey, I was a grunt, man. They taught me how to shoot, move, and communicate.
Wow.
So yeah, we do that. And basic was difficult because, like I said, that was my first time being away from home. First time being on a plane. First time somebody other than my dad and my coach cussing me out straight to my face, and I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Right? So challenging you, right? Taking you away from what you know civilly.
Yeah.
And turning you into a soldier, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of discipline.
Yeah.
A lot of achy nights, you know what I mean? But it molds you into a stronger human being mentally and emotionally. Yeah. Because since you under a lot of stress, pressure, orders and all of these different things, you still have to perform. You still have to care for the man to your left and right, right? Because what they would tell us is like, you don't want to be on those front lines and you not on your job, and then you have to explain to your battle buddy's family what happened to him. And so it settled in like, nah, this is for real. Like they showing us stuff obviously in training exercises, but the stuff that they're preparing us for, you could really lose your life over.
Yeah.
Right. And so that just heightens your level of focusness.
Of course.
And your drive to succeed. Right. But overall, what being a soldier is about, you know, it can pertain serving. And so I found that to be the most attractive thing about my time in the military. And I didn't understand why I was so drawn to serving. Like not even just what they would tell me to do, but like what else I could do outside of that. So I'm like, man, right? And then all throughout my life, my parents are telling me, don't be a follower. Yeah. You are a leader. You're supposed to be showing people what to do. You a big brother. You're supposed to be setting an example right now, right?
Yeah.
And so every single time I get in trouble, this is the talk that I'm getting, right? And so we going back to service. I'm like, dang, service. So I'm away one time for the military, right? I'm out doing some training somewhere. I forgot where I was at, but I was done for the day. I'm in a hotel chilling. I get a call from my boy, Assad. Now, Assad, he left to go to college right after high school because he got a full ride scholarship to West Virginia State University.
Word. Okay.
So he calls me and he's down there, HBCU, you know, he doing his thing. He brother, my brother.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I want to start this organization, man. I want to start this movement. I want to impact the youth. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm like, man, okay. All right. Like, okay. I don't know. I'm in a hotel.
Yeah.
I got a car. I got benefits.
Yeah.
I'm traveling.
Yeah.
I'm like, man,
yeah.
what are you talking about right now?
Yeah.
Okay, it sound all right.
Yeah.
But it stuck with me. So I'm like, okay, let's go back to this conversation. 2 months later, they have an event downtown. They doing like meet the community, street sweep type vibe, right?
Yeah.
I fall in love with it. I get a passion for it. I'm like, man, we gonna really do this.
Yeah.
A couple months later, a friend that we went to school with, Terry Frost, he passes away. He got shot and killed by a police officer because he was trying to rob a bank. So this is a situation this is an event in my life where it didn't just affect me. It affected, one, his kids, because he had kids at the time. Our families knew each other because we went to church together. So it affected his mom, his dad, his stepdad, stepmom. the girl he had kids with, but then all of the people that knew Terry that we went to school with, the counselors, the teachers, the friends, the students, the coaches, right? And so we all at this funeral, and we're distraught, bro, because it's like they told us in high school, like, some of y'all not gonna make it. Before you even get to 19, somebody gonna die, or somebody gonna go to jail. We like, psh, yeah, right. But we seen it because we had people die when we was in high school commit suicide, right? So we're like, okay, then this happens. We really need to do something about it. Now he's gone, so the only thing we can do now is moving forward, is making sure that we live a life that we felt like is worth, you know, comparing to his name and saying we did this for Terry.
Right.
Right. So we can only live our purpose out. We can't really necessarily get that time back, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
And so that's when we decided to double down on the Cincinnati Peace Movement.
Wow, bro.
So that's really where all that started. August 2015, man. We decided to like serve the community, let the people know that we love them, so that we can change the mentality, so that potentially we can impact the kid, so that they don't think that they need to go rob a bank to get money to provide for their family. Right. And that's fast forward. We're going to get into everything, but fast forward, now we trying to create fast tracks for kids that got out of high school to go straight into education. So they're not even thinking about that.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're not done, but that's pretty much where it started. So I feel like maybe we would have, you know, figured it out eventually, but I feel like if Terry, that didn't happen with Terry, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't be here. He was really the inspiration for everything that we're doing right now.
Man, that's beautiful, dog. That's really beautiful. That's such a layered response, man. There's so much in there, man. All I'm hearing, you know, start going back to the beginning. You shared a little bit about just your upbringing, and you know, noticing that your parents were teens. You know what I mean? And then, you know, seeing that, like, it seems like at a young age, you were a very great observer.
Yeah,
you know
for sure.
I mean? You absorbed all this stuff. You took all this stuff on. And then, you know, you seen all this. You seen your dad struggles. You seen your mom. You seen all these things play out. And then you transitioned. And then you went off into the service, and then you started serving. It's like you had all the ingredients to be who you are right now. Like, all these things, like, literally molded you.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, I'm just listening to you, and I think that if a young brother is watching this, I think it'll really resonate with him. I mean, there's a lot of, we go into some of these schools sometimes, as you know, some of these kids, you know, come from similar situations or a lot worse.
Yeah, a lot worse.
You know what I mean? So just the fact that where you are right now, dude, like, you know, that's really dope. That can give somebody young, like, yo, my situation may be like this, but I can serve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can, you know, and I can survive that way, and that can help me through my life. That's really dope, man.
Yeah. I mean, I had all the ingredients to do the bad thing too. I've had a couple of run-ins.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I'd have been caught stealing.
Yeah, for sure.
Thought I was trying to be cool.
Yeah.
So it ain't all peaches and rainbows. It ain't all you know, good things. I've definitely done and made some mistakes, but I learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
I didn't keep doing it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so that because it becomes a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can make a mistake, but you keep doing it, then that means you decide to do that and be there. Yeah. And so that was the difference for me, right? My dad always taught me to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that's what I did.
I heard that, man. And also, man, it seems like you had which is so rare to have, man, just having a black principal, you said?
Gotti Matthews.
Yeah, man, that's dope, bro. And
yeah.
Is he still around?
I don't know what he doing, man. I hope so. I ain't talked to Mr. Matthews in a long time. Yeah. I don't think so. I think they got a new regime down there at CCPA, which is good. They've been there for almost 30 years.
They have been
there
for a while, man.
They should have a new regime. But those people, everybody who knows Gotti Matthews and his family, because he had a wife who also taught, and she had a twin.
Yeah.
So everybody who knows Miss Ham, Miss Simpson, who inspired me to get into literature and poetry and start writing.
Yeah.
Miss Grimes, Miss Ross, Mr. Persons, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Walker.
Yeah.
Man, all these great individuals who like really poured into me, like legitimately with my family. They was like, don't make me call Cameron.
Yeah.
Holding me accountable. Like, you know, you ain't supposed to be. I mean, and I honestly, looking back, I wish I would have stayed at CCPA because it was more of a community. And I think I probably would have had a better opportunity to get better higher scores at CCPA versus Withrow. Just the environment. You dig what I'm saying? It was a lot more freedom that I wasn't necessarily ready for at Withrow.
Word.
Definitely a culture shock because this is just a bigger school.
It is, man. Huge school.
Huge.
Yeah,
It's a castle.
Crazy school, man. Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's so dope, man. And so okay, so we're hearing the story, you know what I mean? And you're also you just spoke on a little bit, you know. I know further on in the conversation, that's probably kind of what we'll end with. You know, you're working with Assad. You have the ICANN literacy program along with others. Nas, and which is really dope. So you know, you're also a writer, you know, poet, you know, all that yourself. Yeah, man, talk a little bit about that journey, man. Just share a little bit with us, and then, you know, how did that merge into, hey, like, let's get into literacy. Let's help kids, you know, have some of these tools as well, so they can also create and have a voice as well.
Well, I'll start with the poetry part. Truly, it started with Miss Simpson because I had already wrote poetry, right? I was already like dibbling, dabbling, doing a little free. You know how kids are. We get the you know, we beating on the we just having fun, right? And I'm like, I really like it though, you know. So I'm writing little stuff in my notebook. I'm coming up with little raps. But when I met her, when I came into Miss Simpson's classroom, she taught me how to really write and how to fall in love with words, how to play with rhythm, how to play with haikus, how to be inspired by Langston Hughes, how to be inspired by Tupac. And honestly, that's where it started too. So she had this whole book stuff in her classroom with a whole bunch of poetry books, literature books, or whatever. And she had a Rose That Grew From Concrete.
It's a gem.
Straight gem. But the version that she had though, it was Tupac's handwriting with his notebook paper.
Oh yeah, I've seen that version. It's crazy. Bruh. Yeah.
And you talking about 12, 13-year-old boy who seen a lot, been through a lot, and don't really know how to express it the correct way. He taught me that you can express it however you want to. Right? I understand what I'm writing down. Because in his stuff, he got pictures of eyes on it. He got some of the titles is written, you know, the number 2 instead of 2.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, he got eyes, and you like the way he wrote was so authentic and genuine to itself. It taught me like you can do that too. Right? It doesn't matter what the reader thinks or how they interpret it, and that's their artistry, right? But what is it that you're trying to convey? What are you trying to express? Get that out, and then worry about the interpretation a little bit later. Because right now I'm young, right? So that's where that started. I always wrote, but then with us moving so much, I had lost a lot of books, a lot of notebooks, just lost. I don't know where they at now. And so it sucked. But then as I got older, I wrote a little bit when I was in high school, put poetry back down. And then when I moved on my own, like living on my own or whatever, and, you know, self-discovery, I'd found that writing was the key to finding God. And just like sacred geometry and having a connection to symbols, right? I think Thoth talks about that in the Emerald Tablets, about how, you know, symbols and signs and words, sounds are also connected and closer, get you closer to God. I'm not going to quote him, you know, word by word, but essentially that's what he was talking about. And so for me, as I got closer to God, as I got closer to myself, writing poetry became second nature. I mean, we was in the community. One, I'm serving my, you know, my country, so to speak, because this was before I got out. I'm living on my own. I'm drinking alkaline water, bro. I'm exercising, right? So I'm energized. I'm vibrating. You dig what I'm saying? So everything that I was pushing out was like gold, you know, because I was really getting in tune with myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how that translate into 690 Peace is like, I would write about what we doing. I would have poetry pieces or rap pieces or bars or whatever about the stuff that we doing in the community, because I didn't want my work to be fugazi whatsoever. I didn't want to talk about nothing that wasn't a part of my life, something I didn't see or something I didn't live. So that was my way of scribing what we were doing, which, you know, in my translation. And so we kind of, you know, decided to merge the two. This is where all the performances with Tribe come in at. We had Blink Fest the first time I performed, at the courthouse actually. And then Second Sunday on Main, shout out to Lex. She gave me my first performance at Second Sunday on Main.
Okay, word.
And we just continue to kind of mesh the two. You know, we would show up to their events, they would show up to ours. And then one time in December, we had held 690 Piece. We had held our own event. I think it was a Kwanzaa event at one of the little brick and mortar stores downtown in OTR. We had rented it out or whatever, and just invited people to come through. And that was the first time, because all of us actually, we have musical talents. Asad can play the piano.
Word.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nas plays the drums.
Word.
And then I can do a little bit of both, but then I rap and I write poetry.
Yeah.
And so one day we was, just messing around, had a meeting or whatever. He's like, man, we should just put something together. And so we did. We put something together. Yeah. And that's where like our first like kind of, we can create too. Like, oh yeah, they can do this. All this. They doing all of this stuff in the community, but now they can make music. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that started. And then I was meeting people like, of course, I mentioned Tribe, but then I'm meeting people like Jones. I'm meeting people like Stylix.
Shout out to Jones. I haven't seen Jones in a minute.
Hidden gem in the city, for sure.
Yeah, man. Jones is dope. I haven't seen Jones in a long time. But go ahead.
If you know and never been to one of her performances,
man,
be mesmerized.
Sure.
Definitely a talent for sure.
Yeah.
But meeting people like that and inspired me to do more. And then that's where me and Jones, we collabed on a project together.
Okay.
And so from there, everything, like I said, everything was pretty much aligned with what we were doing in the community. And so we're doing street sweeps at the time. We're collabing with Tribe to do.
Was it the potluck?
Yeah, the potluck for the people. But then they were also doing the food, or not the food, but the clothes drives.
Okay.
Right. So this was one of the events that we did was at Good Clothing downtown on Main Street before they moved. It was on the corner.
Okay.
So we were doing a whole bunch of stuff, and so we decided like, okay, we're doing a lot. We're doing this. What about business? So one time we had a street sweep downtown to OTR, and we seen this little plaque on this fence on Vine Street, and it said "Build the Block."
Word.
Clear as day, it just said "Build the Block."
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we need to do something with this.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need to do something with this. And actually, if you go to our page on 690 Piece, there's a picture of one of our good friends, our older friends, Tayana. She took a picture with it. It said "Build the Block." And from there, we, along with Tribe, secured our first like collaboration with an organization, Cradle Sensi.
Nice.
And it didn't go as planned, which is fine. We were young, but we were able to get the money to open up our own brick and mortar store called Build the Block.
That's fire.
Right. So we went from street sweeps to potlucks to brick and mortar store. And in this brick and mortar store, for those of y'all who don't know, it was in Norwood at the time. What we wanted to do is create space for everybody that we were working with. We were working with so many people, activists, artists, music artists, poetry artists, people who did, graffiti, street art, people who did, portraits and things of nature, people who did candles, people who sold clothes. We were really connected to a lot of people at that time. Yeah. And so we wanted to give them a space to do business. So we set our business up for people to come and rent out space in our business, in our store, to sell their product. And that's pretty much how it went, man. It was excellent. This is where we met Lawrence Kane and Money Seeds. This is where we did, it's like an African culture event downtown in Washington. Shout out to Rahel. Where we did some work with Titus and Kilimanjaro over on Ludlow.
Oh, word.
So there was a lot of cross sectors back then, right? And so, like I said, Build a Block didn't go as planned, and when it didn't go as planned, we were like, man, we gotta recover, because now there's a gap in the community. We're not doing the urban garden no more. We weren't necessarily doing the street sweeps as consistent, and now our store is gone. Right, that was another like pivotal moment in this journey for us, right? And so we took some time off, but we made a pivot, and that's where I met Teran Stallings with the Dad Initiative. He gave us a lot of guidance that we needed at the time. We had raw energy and just willpower to serve, but we didn't know where to put it. What is it that y'all want to do? We tell him, okay, here's how you do it. Make a plan, make a business plan, 5 to 7 years. Most businesses don't make it past 5 years. We didn't make it a year. So there was a learning lesson there. He took me under his wing, and I'm very, very grateful for that guy. He didn't have to do that. Took me under his wing, allowed me to work with his organization, and show me the ins and outs of 501c3 nonprofit work and how it really translates from grassroots to being a conduit of change in the community, right? Because we were doing so many events, we were doing so much work, but not too much was changing, right? And so it was like, okay, what table do we need to be sitting at to put our skills in front of them to be able to get the right funding so we can serve the community the right way? And that's where, you know, it took years for ICANN literacy to get to where it is now, but that's where ICANN literacy pretty much came from. It's like, we want to teach kids, one, because we talked about the Terry story, so we want to make sure we stand away from violence, right? You definitely need to know how to protect yourself, but you don't need to be out here just shooting each other. We don't need that. We also understand that there's a need for literature. We have a love for poetry, right? But then social economically, we need to be able to translate the things that we do culturally into creating spaces where we can just be, right? And so that's where the mentoring comes in, or then teaching kids how to become mentors, because we've lived it through collaboration, through, you know, a little bit of mentoring. This is how we get to where we are now. You know, it started with a grant. We were first doing it for free out of the library. Now we in 4 different schools. Shout out to United Way.
That's dope, man.
And we gonna continue to create this track for young kids who want to get into education and do more with their lives.
Man, that's a beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful story, man. It's so important, man. I got a question to ask you, but before I ask you that question, I just want to acknowledge that that's just very important. You know, we here at Wordplay, we hire teaching artists to go in schools to teach their art form.
Yeah.
And when I first started here, before I started like running programs here and doing stuff here, I was just a teaching artist, and I was just a young black dude in the class, like as a teacher's assistant, trying to be more creative and have more flexibility in my schedule,
right,
as a creative. And the path I took, you know, I'm not gonna get into all that. It ain't about me today, but I'm gonna get into. But the path I took, you know, it wasn't really no blueprint, but after doing it, I realized, wow, it kind of is a blueprint,
low key,
where you can show kids, you know, or young artists, young creatives, young writers, that you don't have to be Drake. You know, you can still do you, and, you know, and have a job. Yeah. You know, mentoring, and giving back and teaching, you know, writing and reading, and these spaces, you know, need to be talked about more, man. It needs to be. It needs to be acknowledged and brought to light in some of these schools, that like this is a possibility that you can teach, and you don't have to necessarily go to college or do this. You can just do you. Yeah, you know what I mean. And there's a space for that.
Shout out to Car. Yeah. ETB.
Oh yeah, man.
He work at Rockdale.
Oh man,
he been doing crazy work with the kids and with his music.
Dope, man. Kyrie is just a dope individual, man. I got to interview him soon, man.
Yeah, shout out to him.
He may be next.
He might be. Yeah, he need to be.
He need to be next, man. Dude is a gem, man. I'm actually gonna reach out to him after.
But he's in that space in which you're talking about. Man, you know, like, and we were talking about earlier off camera about how some people like, you know, I'm with the kids, but like, no, he puts them on. Yeah, he does. He don't necessarily use them to try to make it seem like he's really with them. Yeah, facts. Like, facts. I run an after school program. And I go up to Rockdale a few days out of the week, and I'm always seeing him with the kids, coaching. Yeah. After school, he's really about it. So for sure, man. Shout out to Kyrie, man. For sure. When I first seen his story, it was the first time I kind of seen myself, and I seen it, and I love how he highlights it. I love how he's highlighted. Because I don't necessarily, I like to keep that part of my life private. Yeah. I don't like to share what I do with the kids. Same here. I don't like people to know. No, I just do it. You know what I mean? I love to do it. It fills your cup without. Exactly. Yeah. And it just feels good. And maybe it does for him too. Yeah, it does. And I just love the fact that I got to see, I'm like, man, that's me right there. Yeah. It's like I seen myself. It was dope to see some
I guess the city to see that there's men in the city doing things like this.
I mean, believe it or not, bro, some people don't like to see that. And specifically, let's not trying to make it about him, but specifically speaking about Carr, you know, he's on different billboards and stuff like that because he works for CPS.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so some people would see that as like, well, that ain't me. It's like, bro, he represents all of us.
Yeah, he does, man. Yeah.
So shout out to him, man.
Shout out to him. Give him his flowers. Shout out to you, Kyrie. You'll definitely be on this next one. I can't wait to interview you, man.
Already.
Yeah, man. Such a dope dude. Yeah, he's really awesome. I like Kyrie, man. Like, he's like one of the few people I respect.
He said few.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So like going back to you, man, and your story, man. Thank you for sharing so much of your story with us today, man. And back to the ICANN literacy program and what you're doing, man. Like, you know, I want to ask you a question. You know, that just kind of brewed up in spirit while you were talking, man. You know, why is community, you know, so important to you, and why is it important in general?
That's crazy. Why is community
in
important?
Your opinion?
Yeah, of course. Why is community important to me? Because we see what happens when you don't have a community, right? We see what happens when you don't have support. People don't want to be here. It's hard to survive. It's hard to relate. It's hard to thrive. It's hard to find your purpose. It's just more difficult. And so I would never want somebody who yearns to be a part of a community to feel like there is none. And there's still some of that out there. Yeah. But as far as the kids go, if I can be a part of that community, I'm going to try to. And not just with the kids, right? We practice this with our friends too.
Facts.
The friends that I have, of course, they're friends, but they more so like family to me.
Facts. Because
like you say, you don't respect, a lot of people, just a few. It's a few people that I'm really close with, right? And so I value them to no end, to the point where, you have your family, that's your blood, but the people that you call your tribe, these are people that you choose to be around. These are the people that see me, that show up for me, show me that I'm important, show me that I mean something to them. And so I always value that. And so when it comes to, the kids in the community and why it's important in general, I mean, why is it not important?
Yeah.
Why is it not important? Who would be like, nah, I don't want to be a part of no community? Like, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine if you don't too, but like, bro, for the people that want to be in the community and serving, and like, it don't necessarily have to feel like a job or something that you have to do, right? Of course, we all come from some sort of service. We wouldn't even have some of the privileges that we have today without some sort of service.
It's a fact.
So just being able to come together has been a part of human nature since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
I mean, if God didn't intend for us to be communal, then he would have just made Adam on his own.
That's a fact.
And he didn't.
That's a bar.
You know what I mean? He gave him a woman, gave him work, gave him animals, gave him land.
Yeah.
Something to do.
Yeah.
Something to bring people closer together.
Yeah.
To show him how he's connected, or us how we're connected, all in one.
Yeah.
Through God. So, the Bible talks about how whenever there's one or more gathered in my name, there I am. That's community right there.
That's a gem.
So
yeah, man. Thanks for sharing that, man.
Already.
For sure, man. Get a couple more in, man. Man, what you just talked about. You dropped a word in there. One of my favorite words is purpose, and purpose, and we have to serve, and me and my best friend talk about Napoleon Hill a lot.
Yeah,
we're always talking about Napoleon Hill, man. And one thing he talks about is like you have to give something. You have to give something to give. Those are the laws of the universe.
It's always gonna cost you.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to give something to get something. That's just what it is. So I feel like that goes into one of my favorite words, which is purpose, and which is, I feel like is very important for any person to have, but as men, it's very important for us to carry that around. You know what I mean? And anybody should have purpose for sure, but as men, we gotta have purpose, man. We got to have direction. Direction is important. purpose is important for us. We got to have a way to go to direct ourselves so we can lead and do the things we are supposed to be as men. From being in community and doing what you're doing, man. How did you know, like this was my purpose, and how do you even convey purpose to a young brother? How would you tell, how would you even talk to a young brother about purpose? Matter of fact, let's go there.
Yeah.
Like how,
let's stay with purpose.
Let's stay with purpose. How would you talk to a young brother about purpose, man?
Man, so I'll talk about like how I even got into teaching. So I was in college, and originally I wanted to be an occupational therapist.
Okay.
So I was on the medical track, and I took a whole bunch of A&Ps and chemistries and stuff like that. And one day I was in a math class, and we were going over some stuff that I felt like was pretty rudimentary. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I wasn't the only one, but like me and maybe like 2 or 3 other people was understanding what was going on, but literally everybody else in the class was having a problem. And I'm like, man, it's taking me back to CCPA days where I had a math teacher. One, I had my dad. So my dad, he would come home with flashcards, the whole nine. We doing workbook problems. One of my math teachers, Ms. Ross was black, Mr. Parsons was black, Mr. Anderson and Mr. Walker. So like pretty much I had all black math teachers up until Withrow, where I had Miss Shutai, which short little Indian lady, hair to the floor, teaching derivatives.
Got you. Got you.
You know what I mean? But so I always had a passion for like numbers. Like math was my thing. So I'm like, man, the reason I had that was because I had people who taught me about the language of math. Not a lot of people understand when I say that, what does that mean? Like you can speak numbers. And so I'll even use Miss Shutai as an example. Her accent was so strong, bro. Mm-hmm. Like it would either put you to sleep or confuse you. And so I had to really listen to what she was saying and convey it in numbers, because that's what we're talking about. She's saying something, but she's speaking numbers. So what are the numbers that she's talking about? Okay, I hear that. Okay, I hear that. Okay, cool. Now I know how to calculate. But because I learned the language of math at a young age, I'm able to translate. Everybody don't get that.
Yeah.
Not only do they not understand it, they don't have somebody who's there to help them understand it. So I was like, man, I might as well just go back and be a teacher. Switched my major the next day.
Yeah.
Turned in all of my little books, tried to get my little money back. Didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, my mom was a teacher for 13 years. So I'm like, you know what? It's kind of in my blood. Why was I trying to go against my own self anyway? Right? So let's go into education. Along the way, I met this cool guy who worked at TAF. His name was Mr. Johnson. Okay. He's an alpha guy. I don't think he works there anymore, but I shadowed his class for teachers college. Like, you had to do certain, teacher hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And he took me under his wing a little bit too and was just teaching me the ropes of being a teacher. And so I knew I wanted to be in education. When I was in college, I did the after school program at Aiken. Shout out to Miss Boyle. She gave me my first little job in education specifically. And I don't know, I recognized the game. Like, I'm in school and they teaching me about the business of school. If all these other teachers that I knew went to school for education and they knew this too, why are they teaching us this stuff? Yeah. They don't feel the same way I feel. Yeah. I was mad.
Yeah.
I'm like, bruh, this is why we on the hamster wheel right here. Yeah. This is exactly why. How this is set up. And so there was conflict, right? I want to go into education. They need to see a black man. They need to see me. Yeah. But I don't want to fall into the hamster wheel. What do? In comes Terrence Stallings. Let me teach you how to entrepreneurize. That's not a word, but let me teach you how to hustle.
Yeah.
Be in education, teach the things that are important, and still be who you need to be.
Bars.
You dig what I'm saying? Yep. And once again, going back to him.
Yeah.
Thank you, because they're not teaching this.
Yeah.
You're not going to. I learned so much with being in the classroom and actually teaching and learning how to write a curriculum versus just being in the classroom in college. I learned so much more hands-on, bro. And I don't know how many people out there got that story, but I feel like more than not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So from there, it was like, okay, let's write these curriculums. Let's figure out how to be analytical about my approach to teaching. And then when I get in front of the kids, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
I got my first start with the summer camp. It was me. I basically was serving as the admin for the camp. But it was me and it was like maybe 4 other guys that he had brought on doing different specials throughout the summer camp. And they all reported to me. And we had meetings after every day. We would do reports, field trips, you know, all of the administrative stuff I was doing from the jump. And it was like getting that confirmation from other black men who have been in education, who have educated for a while, HBCU grads, you know, doctors and all this stuff. And they like, nah, young bro got something.
Yeah.
He really had everything under control. Even the stuff that, like, you know, you had little behavior issues, kids act up.
Yeah.
But we took care of that. We took care of the kids.
Yeah.
Right? Putting them at the forefront of everything that we did. And so, I don't know. I flipped that switch and I just didn't look back, but I had to find my way even in it. Because it's not enough to just find your purpose, man. Sometimes God will show you a purpose and pull you out and be like, how bad you want it. Because there's going to be obstacles every step of the way. New levels, new devils. So you're not just going to think you make it because you found your purpose. Yeah, like, no, okay, now it's time to go to work. But not just go to work, but put it in practice every
Carry
day.
that purpose out.
And that's where we talk about greatness. Right? You look at, I'm going to just use Tom Brady because we talking about the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
He was great for a long period of time.
Oh, yeah, he was.
It wasn't just great for a couple of seasons. For a long 20 years.
Yeah.
Same thing with LeBron, 20 years.
Yeah.
Jordan, 6 chips.
Yep.
So when we talk about purpose, it's showing up and doing that and working at it every day. Don't run from the work. If you got to go get this grant so that you can run this program for these kids, go get it. What you waiting on? If you got to write this curriculum so you at least look like you know what you doing when you in front of these kids because they know what you don't, write it. Take the time to do it right now because it's going to set you up for success. I wrote these curriculums like over 6 years ago, and we still teaching some of the programs to this day.
It's fire, man.
So think about how valuable that is. How many different organizations funded us because of the curriculum. So that's what we're trying to get kids to understand. Like, man, you don't have to sell your soul. You don't have to do nothing against yourself, your family, or your community. You don't have to put yourself in a bind. You don't have to go into debt. You can really go out here, figure out what it is that you want in your life, how you want to impact the world, and go after it and get paid to do it. So when I think about purpose, it's the thing that drives you to wake up in the morning. It's the thing that when you're doing it, not only does it fill up your spirit, it fills up your body. Like you get chills and you get energized thinking about what you're doing, talking about what you're doing. When I'm with my brothers and we having our meetings about how we gonna impact the community and the different things that we want to do, we get energized. We are excited. We are ecstatic to do this work, and we get upset because of how passionate we are when we see other individuals not on the same vibe. That's where the slogan "One City, One Vision" comes from. Because it's 3 different brothers. Of course, we all have different backgrounds, but we all come together for the same vision in one city. And that's to leave a better impact and change lives. Eventually, we want to open up a school, probably not here, but that's the dream. That's the vision.
And that answers my next question because I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
but that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's the vision. We want to open up a school. We want to have land for ourselves and for our families. We want to be able to live peacefully, but not without this work, though. Our legacy is what's going to give that solid rock to stand on.
Facts. It's fire. You heard it from Shalom, man. You heard a little about just his genesis, community, purpose, village, I Can Literacy. Everything, man. You heard it from the guy, man. Thank you for coming and sharing yourself.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Absolutely, bro. You want anything you want to share with the people before we go, man? Any last words?
Love on each other, man. Loving each other as much as you can. Try to live life without no regrets. And find peace and do everything you can to protect it.
Word is bond. This is The Village. I'm your host, Brandon Isaac. Thank you for dropping in. Wordplay today. And we out. Peace.